On a clear autumn night, far from any town, a faint smudge of light hangs high overhead that almost no one ever notices, and it is the most distant thing your unaided eyes can ever reach. It is a whole other galaxy, a strange and quiet island called Andromeda, 1,000,000,000,000 suns gathered into one soft oval, and though it spans a stretch of sky fully 6 full moons wide, we look straight past it and never see what it truly is. Hold that a moment. It is not small and far the way a single star is, vast and merely dim. Its light spreads so thin across the sky that our eyes catch only its bright heart and let the rest go unseen. Tonight we drift out to meet it, slowly and without hurry, to wonder why a thing so wide can hide in plain sight, how far its light has truly traveled to find us, and what its already touching edges might mean. If a person you love lies awake at night, you might let this quiet keep them soft company until sleep. So let the lights go low and let your breathing ease to its own slow level. There is nothing here to solve. Let's drift out now, gently, toward the galaxy next door. For a little while, let the drifting do all the work and let yourself simply be carried. Nothing tonight will move quickly and nothing will ask you to keep up. There is no puzzle waiting at the end of any of this, and nothing you must remember by morning. Follow along as much or as little as you like, and if sleep should find you before we arrive, the drift will carry you the rest of the way. Here is the first quiet surprise of the night. You have very likely already seen this galaxy with your own eyes on some ordinary evening, and never once known what you were looking at. It asks for nothing to be seen, no telescope, no glass, no instrument at all. Only a dark sky, a little patience, and the willingness to look up at the right soft patch of the autumn dark. Find it, and it looks like almost nothing, a faint grey oval. Just a little wisp of light with no hard edge to it. Softer than a star and larger, the size of a small cloud that somehow never drifts. Some who see it for the first time mistake it for a breath, fogged onto cold glass, or a thumbprint left on the dark, or a thin torn shred of cloud lit faintly from behind. It hangs there in the constellation that gives it its name, not far from the bright crooked W of stars that many people already know how to find, and once you have learned the way to it, you can never quite unsee it again. Now hold the second surprise gently, because it is the larger one. That faint little wisp is the farthest thing a human being can see without any help at all. Look past it in any direction, and you are looking only at stars of our own galaxy, near neighbors every one. That soft grey patch alone lies beyond them, beyond all of them, an island of suns entirely separate from our own, set impossibly far off across the dark. When you find it, your eye is reaching farther than it can ever reach toward anything else in all the sky. Think for a moment about the light itself, the actual light landing softly on your eye when you find that patch. It did not set out last night, or last year, or in any year that anyone alive could name. That light left the galaxy about 2.5 million years ago, and it has been crossing the empty dark ever since, patiently without once stopping, only to end its long journey in the quiet of your own eye tonight. The faint grey glow you gather is older than every story ever told, older than the first word ever spoken, older by far than our whole kind, and yet it arrives so gently, so utterly without weight, that you could look at it for a moment and glance away and never feel the age of it at all. There is a tenderness in that, if you let there be, all that distance, all that time, and the light asks nothing of you when it arrives. It does not demand to be understood. Instead, it comes to rest, the way snow comes to rest, and lets you make of it whatever you will, or nothing at all. So let it be a soft thing to hold as we begin. The oldest light your eyes can reach is also among the gentlest, a faint grey breath of a galaxy, waiting patiently overhead on any clear autumn night for anyone who thinks to look. So here is the question the whole night turns upon, asked softly. If that galaxy truly spans 6 full moons of sky, wider than your whole outstretched hand held up against the stars, then why does almost no one ever see it? Why does a thing so enormous manage to hide so completely in the open? Night after night, above the heads of people who never once suspect it is there, the answer is a quiet one, and understanding it will make the little grey patch feel even larger than before. Begin with the moon itself, that familiar silver coin. When the moon pours its light onto the sky, it gathers all of that light into one small bright disk, no wider than the tip of your smallest finger, held at arm's length. The brightness has only a tiny circle of sky to fill, and so it fills it fully, and the moon shines out bold and clear and impossible to miss. Its light is concentrated, poured into one small cup, and a full cup is easy to see. Now imagine taking that same handful of light and spreading it thin. Imagine smearing it out across a patch of sky, 6 moons wide, spreading the very same glow over an area dozens of times larger than the moon's little disk. The light does not grow. Only the sky it must cover grows and grows until the same soft glow is stretched so thin across so much dark that any single part of it is faint almost past seeing. That, very nearly, is what Andromeda does. Its whole broad oval holds a great deal of light, gathered from 1 trillion distant suns. But that light is smeared across such a wide reach of sky that no small piece of it ever seems bright. This is the quiet trick of it, and it is worth sitting with. Andromeda is not faint because it is small, and it is not faint because it is dim in itself. It is faint because it is both enormous and far. Its light true but spread wide, poured out across so much sky, that our eyes gather only the brightest heart of it, and quietly let the fainter edges fall below what we can see. The part most people do glimpse, that little grey oval, is only the dense bright core. Beyond it, the galaxy reaches on outward from there, 6 moons across, but the rest is simply too gently lit for the eye to hold. Our own eyes play their soft part in this as well. In the dark, the eye changes. The parts of it that see fine detail and color grow quiet, and the parts that gather dim light in shades of gray slowly wake and take over, which is why the whole night world looks silvered and soft once your eyes adjust. These dim light watchers sit mostly around the edges of your vision, rather than the center, and so there is an old and gentle skill that sky watchers learn, called looking away. When you want to see the faintest things, you do not stare straight at them. You let your gaze rest a little to one side, and the faint thing quietly brightens at the corner of your eye, shy and soft, the way a distant memory comes clearer when you stop chasing it. And then there is the glow of our own making. Most people now live beneath skies washed pale by the light of towns and cities, a soft dome of amber and grey that never fully darkens, and against that lit haze the faint things simply vanish. You cannot see a whisper across a crowded room. Andromeda is a whisper, and the modern night is a crowded, glowing room. Carry yourself out under a truly dark country sky, though far from every lamp, and let your eyes drink in the black for a while. And the whisper returns. The little grey oval rises quietly back into view, exactly where it has always been, waiting all along above the glow for anyone willing to go looking for the dark. So the galaxy hides not by being small, but by being vast and faint at once, and by living above skies we have quietly filled with our own light. Knowing that the little smudge changes, it is no longer a small far thing. Rather, it is an enormous near thing, wide as your hand, and old as the light of 2.5 million years, only whispering rather than shouting, waiting patiently for a dark enough night and a patient enough eye. People have been seeing that soft patch for a very long time, long before anyone had the faintest idea what it was. It has no need of our understanding to be seen, and so it was noticed and named and set down in careful records ages before the first telescope was ever raised toward it. To follow the little grey oval back through time is to find how patiently the sky keeps its secrets, and how long we can live beside a wonder without knowing its true nature. More than 1,000 years ago, a careful watcher of the heavens set the little cloud down in writing. He was a Persian astronomer, working by night with only his own patient eyes, mapping the stars and the shapes they made with a care that still holds up today. In his great book of the fixed stars he noted, among the figures of the constellations, a small misty patch, a little cloud, as he gently called it, glowing softly where no single star could account for it. That quiet note is among the oldest records we have of anyone marking the thing that we now know to be another galaxy entirely. Think of what he was truly seeing, though he could not have known it. His eye was gathering light that had crossed 2.5 million years of darkness. To reach him, light from 1 trillion suns, he had no way to count, from an island of stars so far off that the very idea of such a place lay 1,000 years in the future. And he simply wrote it down as a little cloud, a small soft smudge among the stars, and moved on to chart the next. There is something wonderful in that, in a mind meeting a thing so far beyond its knowledge, and setting it down anyway, gently, with care, and passing the sight along across the centuries to us. For centuries after, the little cloud was simply part of the sky. Sailors who steered by the stars would have crossed beneath it on countless dark nights at sea. Shepherds and travelers and sleepless watchers of every kind must have let their eyes drift across it without a second thought. One more soft grey mark on the familiar dark. It kept its place, faithful and unchanging, wheeling slowly overhead with the turning of the year, asking nothing, explaining nothing, patient as it had always been. And all that while it was quietly keeping a truth almost too large to hold. Every one of those watchers, gazing up at a little smudge they took for a wisp of nearby cloud or a patch of hazy starlight, was looking clear across the void between the galaxies, farther than they had any words for. The knowledge would come in time, and we will follow it as it comes. Yet, there is a gentleness worth pausing on here, in how long the human eye rested on that far light in perfect ignorance, and how the light did not mind at all, but simply went on arriving, night after night, waiting for us to be ready to understand. When the first telescopes finally turned toward the little cloud, they did not answer the question of what it was. If anything, they deepened it. Through the early glasses, the soft grey patch resolved into a faint glowing spiral, a whirl of pale light with a bright heart, plainly something more than an empty haze, and yet no one could say for certain what kind of thing it truly was. For a long stretch of years, it sat at the very center of one of the great gentle arguments in all of astronomy. The trouble was one of distance, and distance is a hard thing to read in the dark. A small, dim light close by, and a great bright light very far away can look exactly the same to the eye. So when astronomers found this soft spiral and dozens of others, like it scattered across the sky, they could not tell whether they were seeing small clouds of glowing gas nestled among the stars of our own galaxy, near neighbors caught in the act of forming, or something else entirely and far more astonishing. That other possibility was a large and daring idea, and it had a lovely name. Some thought these spirals might be island universes, whole separate galaxies of their own, each one a vast gathering of countless stars, floating unthinkably far beyond the edge of our own. In that view, our Milky Way was not the whole of creation, but only one island among many, and the little cloud in Andromeda was another such island, a sister to our own, seen dimly across a gulf so wide the mind could scarcely open to it. Against that idea stood a quieter and more modest one. Perhaps, others said, our own galaxy was in truth the whole universe, a single grand system of stars with nothing at all beyond it but empty dark, and these little spirals were simply clouds within it, near and small, part of our one great home. It was a comfortable thought in its way, a universe you could hold in a single embrace, with everything that existed gathered close together under one roof. For years the two pictures stood side by side, and no one could choose between them, because no one could measure how far away the little spiral truly lay. The whole enormous question, whether the universe was one lone island or an endless dark sea of islands, came down to a single stubborn unknown. How far, just how far away is the soft grey oval in Andromeda? Answer that one gentle question, and you would know at a stroke whether we lived alone in all the dark, or shared it with more companions than anyone had ever dared to count. So the answer waited on a way to measure the unmeasurable, to lay a ruler across the void and read off the distance to a galaxy. That such a ruler could exist at all seems almost too much to hope for, and yet one was found quietly in the patient work of someone counting the soft blinking of far-off stars. That is where we drift next, gently, toward the small discovery that opened up the whole vast universe. Before the great question of distance could be settled, something quieter happened that deepened the mystery and its beauty at once. For all the long ages people had gazed at the little cloud, they had only ever seen it with the living eye, and the eye, for all its gifts, has one gentle limit: it cannot store up light. Instead, it takes in only what arrives in a single moment, and then lets that moment go and takes in the next. So the faintest things stay forever faint to it. No matter how long you look, the camera changed that, softly and completely. Unlike the eye, a camera can hold its gaze open, gathering light patiently over long stretches of time, drinking in the faint glow minute after minute, and building it slowly into an image, far brighter than any single moment could ever show. Point a camera through a telescope at something too faint to see. Leave it open to the dark for a long while, and it will quietly gather what the eye never could, painting in the faint light of an hour into a picture you can hold in your hand. More than 100 years ago, a patient observer did exactly that with the little cloud in Andromeda. He aimed his camera through a telescope, opened it to the faint grey oval, and let it gather the light for a long, slow exposure, far longer than any eye could hold. And when the plate was at last developed, there it was, plain and lovely and undeniable. A great glowing spiral, its bright core wound about with sweeping arms, its dark lanes of dust curving gracefully through the light. The camera had seen what no human eye had ever quite held, the true winding shape of the thing, captured softly out of the dark. That first clear picture only deepened the gentle mystery. Here was no shapeless smudge of haze, but a structure of astonishing order and grace, a perfect slow whirl of light hanging in the dark. What could make a shape so vast and so beautifully wound? A cloud within our own galaxy, or a whole separate island of suns seen from unimaginably far away? The photograph could not answer that. It could only show, more clearly than ever, how much there was to explain, and how lovely the thing was that waited to be understood. In the time since, our pictures of Andromeda have grown beyond anything that early observer could have dreamed. Great telescopes above the air have gathered vast sweeping portraits of the galaxy, images so deep and so fine that within them you can pick out the light of many millions of its individual stars, one soft point at a time, spread across the winding arms. What began as a faint smudge, then a delicate photographed spiral, has become a portrait of countless separate suns, each one resolved and shining in the most detailed likeness ever made of another galaxy. And still, to the unaided eye on a dark night, it remains that same soft grey oval overhead, holding all of that quietly within it. The ruler that finally measured the galaxy did not begin as a ruler at all. It began as patient, careful work, the kind of quiet labor that goes on for years in a small room and looks like nothing much from the outside. An astronomer at a great observatory was studying certain stars that do not shine steadily, but slowly brighten and dim over and over in a faithful rhythm all their own. These pulsing stars are called Cephids, and each one is a huge and luminous sun that swells and settles, breathing out light in a slow and dependable beat. Among the many who studied these blinking stars, one careful worker noticed something that would quietly change everything. She was cataloguing hundreds of these pulsing suns, all gathered in the same far cloud of stars, and she saw a pattern hiding in the numbers. The brighter a Cephid truly was, the more slowly it beat. A dim one blinked quickly, in a matter of days. Yet a brilliant one took far longer, breathing out its light over weeks. The rhythm of the blinking told you, plainly and reliably, how much light the star was truly giving off. Sit for a moment with why that quiet pattern matters so much, because it is a lovely piece of reasoning. Imagine a row of candles set out along a dark road, all of them the very same kind of candle, each giving off exactly the same true light. The near ones look bright, and the far ones look faint, and from how faint a candle appears you can tell at once how far away it stands. Now, the trouble with stars had always been that they are not all the same candle. Some are truly brilliant, and some are truly dim. So a faint star might be a small one close by or a great one far away, and you could never tell which. But a Cepheid tells you its own true brightness, freely, just by the pace of its blinking. Watch it beat, and you know how bright it really is. Compare that to how bright it looks, and the difference gives you the distance. At last there was a candle in the dark that quietly announced its own strength. A true and honest ruler you could lay across the empty gulf between the stars. Years passed before anyone reached the little cloud in Andromeda with that new ruler in hand. Then, in the 1920s, a young astronomer began working with one of the largest telescopes yet built, high on a mountain under clean dark skies, turning its great eye night after night upon the faint spiral. Photograph by photograph, he studied the soft grey oval, searching its dim outer reaches for any single star he could pick out from the blur. And one long night, on one of his glass plates, he found one that changed brightness. He found a Cepheid blinking its slow faithful beat, far out in the arms of Andromeda. You can almost feel the quiet of that moment. He measured the rhythm of the star's blinking and read from it how bright the star truly was, and set that against how impossibly faint it appeared out there in the oval, and worked the distance out, and the number that came back was staggering. The star, and the whole soft spiral it belonged to, lay far, far beyond the edge of our own galaxy. Andromeda was not a little cloud among our stars. It was another galaxy, entirely, a separate island of suns, unthinkably far away, exactly as the boldest guess had dared to hope. In that one quiet reading, the universe grew almost past believing. Only moments before, in the mind of our whole kind, the galaxy might have been everything there was, one lone island of stars afloat in an empty dark. And now, in a single stroke, it became merely one island among a great uncounted many. And the little cloud in Andromeda became the first far sister ever known for certain, a whole other galaxy hanging in a suddenly enormous night. The dark had never been empty at all. It had been full all along of islands, and we had simply been too near our own shore to see the others. There is a gentleness in how that great change arrived. No fanfare reached out across the dark, no sound, no sudden light in the sky. Only a young man on a mountain, reading the slow blinking of one far star and understanding at last how far away it was. The universe did not become larger that night. It had always been this large. We simply grew ready quietly to see it. And the faint grey smudge overhead, unchanged and patient as ever, went on shining down exactly as it always had, waiting for us to catch up to what it had been telling us all along. Now that we know Andromeda is another galaxy, let us drift out slowly toward its true distance and try to feel it gently, rather than merely to be told it. The number itself is easy to say and impossible to hold. About 2.5 million light years. That is the gulf between us and the little grey oval. But a number that large means nothing until we walk out toward it, one soft step at a time, letting each step settle before we take the next. Begin close with the moon. When you look up at the moon, you are seeing it not quite as it is, but as it was a little more than a single second ago, for that is how long its light takes to cross the gap to your eye. Just over 1 second of delay, the moon you see is a heartbeat old. Step outward to the sun, and the delay grows. The sunlight warming a face turned upward on a summer afternoon, set out from the sun about 8 minutes before it arrived. So the sun you feel is 8 minutes old, already a little into the past. Now step out past the sun to the very nearest other star. Its light, hurrying toward us faster than anything in all the universe can move, still takes more than 4 years to arrive. So the nearest star beyond our own shines down on us as it was 4 years ago, and we have no way to see it any fresher than that. Already the past is deepening around us. The farther we look, the older the light, and the deeper into what has been we are gazing. Though the sky above us seems so perfectly present, and now keep going out across our own galaxy. Our Milky Way is a great wheel of hundreds of billions of stars, and to cross it from one side clear to the other, light needs something like 100,000 years. 100,000 years merely to traverse the single island we call home. When light leaves a star on the far rim of our galaxy, our earliest ancestors are not yet who they will become by the time that light reaches this side. That is the width of our own shore alone, and it already reaches back further than all of recorded memory, many times over. And now, only now, step across the true gulf out to Andromeda. Its light does not take a second, or 8 minutes, or 4 years, or even 100,000 years. It takes 2.5 million years to cross the dark between that galaxy and your eye. When the light you gather tonight first left those distant suns, there were no cities anywhere on the earth, no farms, no written words, no wheel, none of the long story we tell about ourselves. Our earliest ancestors were walking a warmer, greener world, using the first simple stone tools, gazing up at a night sky whose Andromeda light we would not see for another 2.5 million years. That light set out then, it has been crossing the empty dark this entire time, and it lands tonight softly in your eye. Let that settle without any effort to grasp it. You are not seeing Andromeda as it is. Rather, you are seeing it as it was, unimaginably long ago, a portrait of a galaxy from before our history began. Somewhere out there, right now, that galaxy has gone on, turning through 2.5 million more years of its own slow life, and we will not see how it looks tonight for another 2.5 million years to come. Every glance across that gulf is a glance into the deep past, gentle and untroubled, a soft window onto a time long before anyone was here to wonder about it. There is nothing to fear in looking so far back, and nothing lost. The past that light carries is not gone. It is here, arriving, laid gently before your eyes on any clear night. All that distance has not broken the connection between you and that far island of suns. It has only stretched it long and thin and patient, a single faithful thread of ancient light, reaching all the way across the dark to find you, tonight, and to rest. So the little grey smudge is another galaxy, and its light is millions of years old. Now let us drift close enough, in the mind, to feel how large the thing itself truly is. For this is the deep heart of the night, and the awe here is the quietest and the widest of all. Come to it slowly. There is no need to take in the whole of it at once. Andromeda is a great flat wheel of stars, a spiral turning slowly in the dark. To cross it from one edge clear to the other, light needs something near 220,000 years. Set that gently beside our own galaxy, which light crosses in about 100,000 years. Andromeda is roughly twice as wide as the whole Milky Way. It is the larger of the two great islands in our little corner of the universe, a broad and spreading wheel of light, and it is the one drifting quietly beside our own. Hold the number of its stars, if you can, though it is a number made to be felt and not counted. Andromeda holds something like 1 trillion suns. A trillion. Our own galaxy, vast as it is, gathers a few hundred billion, and Andromeda carries several times more, perhaps a trillion separate stars, each one a sun in its own right, many of them ringed by worlds of their own turning, in their own quiet dark. Try to picture even 1,000 stars, and the mind begins to blur. 1 million is already past holding, and 1 trillion is 1,000,000 millions, and every single one a sun. Here is one soft way to feel it. Picture every grain of sand on a long stretch of beach, the whole shining curve of it from the water to the dunes, more grains than you could ever hope to count in a lifetime of counting. Now imagine that every one of those grains is not a grain at all, but a blazing sun, each with its own light and its own warmth and perhaps its own small worlds. Gather all those suns together into one slowly turning wheel, hang it in the dark, and step back until the whole vast thing shrinks to a faint grey oval, no wider than your hand held up against the stars. That oval is Andromeda. It is what you are seeing when you find the little smudge on an autumn night. And this is the quiet marvel that the whole night has been circling toward. All of that, 1 trillion suns spread across 220,000 years of light, is what hides inside the faint little patch above your head. The smudge is not small. That smudge is 1 trillion suns, seen from so far away that all their gathered brilliance softens to a whisper. When you looked up on some past evening and let your gaze slide across that soft grey oval, you were taking in one careless glance, more suns than there are grains of sand on any shore you have ever walked. Let the size of it be a comfort rather than a weight. There is nothing here that presses down, nothing vast enough to trouble you, only a wideness so great that all your cares grow quiet beside it. 1 trillion suns have been turning peacefully in that far wheel through your whole life, and every life before you, asking nothing, needing nothing, simply shining. And they will go on turning, softly, long after tonight. You are allowed to rest beneath a thing that large. Its vastness is not a threat. It is only room, endless gentle room, and there is space enough in it for every small worry to loosen and drift away. Now that we know its size, let us rest our gaze upon its shape, slowly, and take in how it is made. Andromeda is a spiral, and there is a deep and easy beauty in the form of it, a form the whole universe seems to love and repeat. A great disk of stars, flattened thin, wound through with arms that curve outward from a bright and crowded heart. Let your eye trace it gently, the way you might follow the slow curve of a river, seen from a high and quiet hill. At its center glows the nucleus, a dense and gathered core where the stars crowd close together, so many of them packed so near that their light blends into one soft radiance. This is the bright heart that most people glimpse as the little grey oval, the one part luminous enough to reach the unaided eye. Around it the stars thin out into the broad disk, and through that disk sweep the great spiral arms, long lanes where new stars are quietly being born. glowing a cool blue-white with the light of young suns. Winding through those bright arms run the dust lanes, and these are among the loveliest things about the galaxy to look upon. They are great curving ribbons of dark, cold dust and gas drawn out along the spiral, threading between the lit arms like slow rivers of shadow. Two of them stand out most clearly, sweeping around the disk in long, graceful curves. They are not empty, these dark lanes. Instead, they are the very stuff from which new stars will one day gather, the raw, quiet material of suns not yet born, resting in shadow until their time. We do not see this wheel quite face on, and that is why it appears to us as an oval rather than a perfect circle. Andromeda is tilted, turned mostly edgewise to our line of sight, so its round disk is foreshortened into a long, slim ellipse, the way a plate held at a slant becomes a narrow oval to the eye. That gentle tilt is part of why the little smudge has the soft, elongated shape it does. A leaning wheel seen almost from its edge, its true roundness hidden by the angle at which it happens to face us across the dark. And the whole enormous wheel is turning, though far too slowly for any eye to catch. The stars of Andromeda circle its bright center in great patient orbits, and even moving at tremendous speeds, they are so unthinkably far from the core that a single turn takes hundreds of millions of years to complete. Our own sun does the same in our galaxy, carrying us with it, and it has not finished even a handful of its slow circles since the Earth was young. Nothing about this turning is hurried. It is the slowest and grandest of motions, a wheel of 1 trillion suns rolling once around, in a span of time longer than we can hold, smooth and silent and utterly calm. Rest your eyes on the whole of it now, the bright gathered heart, the sweeping arms of young blue suns, the dark slow rivers of dust curving between them, the faint outer reaches fading softly into black. This is the true face of the little grey smudge, the shape that has been hiding inside the whisper all along. A wheel of light, tilted and turning, beautiful, in a way that needs no understanding to feel drifting there in the dark exactly as it has for longer than the Earth has existed. Andromeda does not drift through the dark alone. Like our own galaxy, it keeps a small family of companions close about it, little galaxies of its own that circle the great wheel the way moons circle a planet, held gently by its vast and patient pull. If you could draw near enough to see the spiral clearly, you would find these small ones nestled beside it, soft and faint, keeping their quiet company at the edge of all that light. Two of these companions are easiest to love, for they sit near enough to the bright oval to be seen alongside it. One is a small, dense, rounded gathering of stars, compact and glowing, pressed close beside the great disk, a tight little knot of a galaxy holding its own soft light. The other is larger and gentler, a looser, softer smudge, more diffuse, drifting a little farther out. Neither is anything like the size of the giant they attend. They are small islands beside a vast one, dim companions to a brilliant neighbor, and they have kept their places beside Andromeda for a very long time. There is something tender about these small attending galaxies. If you let yourself feel it, they are not grand, nor will they ever be the thing anyone points to when they speak of Andromeda. Yet they drift there faithfully all the same, each a gathering of many millions of stars in its own right, each an island entire, keeping its slow orbit around the greater wheel through age upon age. To the unaided eye, they are lost entirely in the glow of their bright companion, invisible and still. They are there, turning quietly, asking for no notice at all. And these two are only the nearest of a larger gathering. Andromeda holds a whole scattered court of smaller galaxies about it. Dozens of faint dwarf islands strewn through the dark around the great disk, most of them far too dim ever to see without the largest instruments. They orbit slowly, spread wide across the space, surrounding the spiral, a soft and quiet retinue of little star clouds attending the giant. At their center, our own galaxy keeps just such a court of its own, a scattering of small companions drifting about us in the same gentle way. You need not hold any of them one by one, or learn their number, or keep track of where each one drifts. Let them simply be there, a soft crowd of small companions gathered around the great wheel of Andromeda, each keeping its long, slow orbit through the quiet, none of them alone. There is a warmth in that thought, in a galaxy that travels the dark with company all around it, and it drifts easily alongside the deeper truth we come to next, which is that Andromeda and our own galaxy are themselves a kind of companions, closer than either of them looks. Everything we have looked at so far, the bright wheel, the arms, the dust, the little companions, is only the part of Andromeda that shines. Yet the galaxy reaches much farther out than its light does. Wrapped all around that visible disk, spreading far beyond its faint outer rim, lies a vast and nearly invisible thing, a great soft cloud of thin gas that no eye and no ordinary picture could ever show. It is called the halo, and it is enormous, and for a long while we had no way to see it at all. Picture the bright wheel of the galaxy as the flame of a candle, clear and lovely and easy to see. Now picture the warmth of that candle spreading out invisibly into the whole dark room around it, filling far more space than the little flame ever could, felt everywhere yet seen nowhere. Andromeda's halo is something like that warmth. A thin, faint atmosphere of gas wrapped around the whole galaxy in a great sphere, reaching out into the dark for an astonishing distance, holding a fair share of all the material the galaxy contains, and giving off almost no light of its own. So how does anyone see a thing that gives off no light? The answer is one of the quietest and cleverest tricks in all of astronomy, and it uses the distant light of others. Far, far beyond Andromeda lie certain brilliant beacons, the blazing bright hearts of galaxies so remote that their light has crossed much of the universe to reach us. When one of those far beacons happens to lie directly behind Andromeda's halo, its light must pass straight through that invisible cloud of gas on its way to us. And the gas, thin as it is, leaves a faint mark upon the passing light, a soft fingerprint, a subtle dimming at certain colors that tells us the gas is there. Astronomers gathered the light of dozens of those far beacons, each one shining through a different part of the space around Andromeda, and read the faint fingerprints in each. Beacon by beacon, they mapped the invisible. Where the light showed the mark of gas, the halo was there, and where it came through clean, the halo had thinned away. Slowly, patiently, from many far lights all at once, a picture of the unseen cloud took shape, like feeling out the size of a dark room by listening to echoes from every wall. And the picture that came back was breathtaking in its size. Andromeda's halo does not reach out for a few thousand light years. or even a few tens of thousands. It reaches out well over 1,000,000 light-years in every direction, a soft sphere of thin gas, so vast that it dwarfs the bright wheel at its center many times over. The little gray oval we see is only the small glowing seed at the heart of something far, far larger, a galaxy whose true extent, counting all its faint invisible reaches, is greater than we had ever pictured. Sit with that gently for a moment. The thing you glimpse as a faint smudge on an autumn night is not only 1,000,000,000,000 suns, 220,000 light-years wide. It is that bright wheel wrapped in an invisible atmosphere over 1,000,000 light-years across, most of it forever hidden from the eye, reaching out silently into the dark toward us. The galaxy is far larger than it looks, larger than it has any right to look, and its true edge lies much closer to home than anyone once believed. That closeness is where we drift next, softly into the gentlest surprise of the whole night. Our own galaxy is wrapped in just such an invisible halo of its own. The Milky Way, like Andromeda, is far more than its bright visible wheel. Around us too spreads a great soft sphere of thin gas, reaching out into the dark for over 1,000,000 light-years in every direction, an invisible atmosphere enveloping our whole island of stars. We sit deep inside it and have all our lives, never feeling it, never seeing it, held within a cloud so faint and so vast that it took us until only recently to know that it was there at all. Now hold the two galaxies in mind together, each one a bright wheel wrapped in an invisible cloud over 1,000,000 light-years wide, drifting toward one another across a gulf of about 2.5 million light-years. Do the gentle arithmetic of it. If Andromeda's soft halo reaches out more than 1,000,000 light-years toward us, and our own reaches more than 1,000,000 light-years toward it, then the two invisible spheres have already closed most of the distance between them. Their bright wheels remain far apart, still separated by that vast dark gulf. But their faint outer edges, the thin reaching fringes of their halos, have very nearly, and in places already fully, come to touch. Let that quiet fact settle over you, because it is a lovely one. The space between our galaxy and Andromeda, which looks on any star chart like an empty gulf of pure black, is not entirely empty at all. Somewhere out in the middle of that dark, the outermost breath of our galaxy and the outermost breath of Andromeda are already brushing gently against one another, thin gas meeting thin gas, in the softest and most patient of greetings. In the faintest sense that the word allows, the two galaxies are already in contact, right now, tonight, through their vast invisible atmospheres. There is no drama in this meeting, and nothing to unsettle the calm. It is not a crash, or an event, or anything you could ever mark on a single night. There is only the quietest of overlaps, the outermost fringes of two enormous soft clouds, beginning to share the same dark space, far out, where each galaxy fades away into almost nothing. The bright wheels go on turning, untroubled, millions of light-years apart. And yet the two great islands are no longer quite the strangers they appear to be on a map. They have reached out across the dark, each in its own slow way, and their edges have found one another. Think of what that means for the little smudge overhead. When you find Andromeda on an autumn night, you are not looking at something wholly separate from yourself, cut off across an empty void. You are looking at a galaxy whose faint outer reaches are already mingling with our own, a neighbor near enough that our two atmospheres have begun to blend far out in the quiet dark. The gulf between us is real, and it is vast, and still, in the gentlest possible way, we and Andromeda already share a little of the same space. We are not so far apart as the black between us would suggest. Here is another quiet thing that sets Andromeda apart from nearly every other galaxy in the sky. Almost everywhere astronomers look, out across the wider universe, the distant galaxies are drifting away from us, carried apart on the slow expansion of space itself, growing ever more remote as the ages pass. The universe taken as a whole is gently opening outward, its islands easing farther and farther from one another. Yet, Andromeda does not join that outward drift. Andromeda, alone among the great galaxies, is coming closer. The reason is the very nearness we have been speaking of. Andromeda and our own galaxy lie close enough together and pull upon each other strongly enough through their vast gathered weight that the gentle spreading of the wider universe cannot carry them apart. Instead, the soft pull between them wins out, drawing the two great wheels slowly toward one another across the dark. It is the same quiet pull that holds you to the ground and holds the Earth to the Sun, only reaching now across millions of light years, patient and unhurried, gathering two galaxies gently in. Andromeda is falling toward us at a fair pace as such things go. It closes the distance by many miles with every passing second, moving through the dark faster than any craft our hands have ever built. If you measured only its speed, you might think it was hurrying. And yet, the gulf it must cross is so enormous, so many millions of light years wide, that even at such a pace, the journey will take billions of years to complete. The speed is real, but the distance is far greater. And so the approach unfolds with a slowness beyond all our imagining. A fall so gradual that across a whole human life, it changes nothing at all we could ever see. There is a deep gentleness in a motion that's slow. Nothing about this approach asks anything of us, or of anyone who will live for millions of years to come. It is the softest of falls, unfolding over spans of time so long that the Earth will circle the Sun billions more times before the two galaxies ever draw near. We are watching, in the little smudge overhead, the very earliest beginning of a coming together so patient that the mind can only bow to it. The two islands are drifting toward each other, and they have all the time in the universe to arrive. So the little grey patch is not only near in space, its faint halo already brushing our own. It is also drawing nearer with every passing age, easing toward us across the dark on the softest of long, slow currents. Where the rest of the universe pulls apart, our nearest great neighbor draws close, gathered toward us by the same gentle pull that steadies you against the Earth tonight. And in the fullness of deep time, that slow approach will bring the two of us into the most patient of meetings, which is where we drift now gently into the far future. Follow the slow approach far enough into the future, and the two galaxies will at last come together. In something like 4.5 billion years, a span of time longer than the Earth has so far existed, Andromeda and our own galaxy will draw near enough to begin merging, two great wheels of stars easing into one another over an age so long that the meeting itself will unfold across hundreds of millions of years. It is the gentlest of all possible endings to their long drift, and there is nothing in it to trouble the calm of the night. The first thing to know about that meeting is how little it resembles a crash. When two galaxies come together, their stars almost never strike one another, for the stars within a galaxy are spread so unimaginably far apart that the space between them dwarfs the stars themselves many times over. Picture a handful of grains of sand scattered across a whole continent, and you begin to see how empty a galaxy truly is. Two such near-empty islands can pass straight through one another, their stars gliding by in the wide dark with room to spare, almost none of them ever coming near a neighbor at all. What happens instead is a slow and beautiful braiding of light. As the two galaxies pass through and around one another, the soft pull between them draws their stars out into long streaming ribbons, great sweeping arcs and tails of light flung gracefully across the dark. The two wheels wind about each other, pulled into curving streamers, passing, slowing, falling back together, passing again. Over an immense span of time they weave and settle, again and again, the two spirals gradually losing their separate shapes and gathering, at last, into a single larger galaxy, calm and whole, where once there were two. People have even given that far future galaxy a soft blended name, joining the names of its two parents into one. A gentle way of picturing the single island our two galaxies will one day become. It will be a great rounded gathering of stars, larger than either wheel that made it, holding the suns of both galaxies mingled peacefully together. The dust lanes and spiral arms we admired tonight will have long since smoothed away, softened into the calm, broad glow of one united island, drifting on through the dark. And here is the tenderest part of it, the part to carry gently into sleep. This great slow meeting lies so far ahead, 4.5 billion years and more, that it belongs to a future beyond every future we could ever picture. It is not a thing that hurries toward anyone, nor a thing that asks to be feared. There is only a long, slow, patient gathering here, two neighbors who have drifted the dark alongside one another for ages, easing at last into a single quiet home. The stars will mostly glide gently past one another, their light will braid and settle, and in the deep fullness of time, where there were two islands, there will be one. Let us drift forward in the mind, gently, and imagine the night sky slowly changing across those long ages as the two galaxies draw together. Tonight, Andromeda is only a faint grey smudge, a whisper you must seek out under a dark sky. But it is coming closer patiently, age upon age, and as it comes it will grow. Not in a night, not in a lifetime, not across all of recorded memory, but over spans of time so vast that the very slowness of it is a kind of peace. The little smudge will widen and brighten and unfold. Far into the future, long past every tomorrow we could name, that soft oval will have swelled into something wonderful to behold. Where now we strain to catch a faint patch, no wider than a hand, a watcher on some far morning will look up and find a great glowing spiral spread across a good part of the whole sky, its arms winding in cold light from one horizon toward the other, its bright core a soft radiance brighter than anything else in the dark. The galaxy that hides from us tonight will, in that distant age, be the grandest sight in all the heavens, impossible to miss, impossible to look away from. Picture standing beneath that far sky. The stars of our own galaxy would be scattered across the near dark as they always have been, close and familiar. And behind them, spread out enormous and soft, the whole face of Andromeda would hang tilted across the night, near enough now to show its winding arms and its dark curving lanes of dust. a wheel of 1,000,000,000,000 suns, turned into the largest and most beautiful thing the sky has ever held. No telescope would be needed then. The galaxy next door would simply be there, overhead, for anyone at all to see. And as the two galaxies pass into and through one another, over the ages that follow, the sky would grow more wondrous still. The long streaming ribbons of stars we spoke of, drawn out by the gentle pull between the wheels, would arc across the heavens in great sweeping bands of soft light. Overhead, the night would be threaded with luminous streamers, curving and slow as the two islands wound their patient way into one. It would be, for whoever might be there to see it, a sky unlike any that has ever hung over the earth, quiet and vast and unspeakably beautiful. You do not have to reach that far future, or hold it, or do anything with it at all. Let it simply be a soft picture to rest against, a promise folded into the little smudge above your head tonight. What is now a faint whisper will one day be the whole glory of the sky. The galaxy we can barely find will become the galaxy no one could miss. And all of it will unfold so slowly, so gently, across such an ocean of time, that there is nothing in it anywhere to disturb the deep calm of the night. It is only beauty, coming, patiently, on the slowest of currents. Draw back now, softly, and let us see where our two galaxies sit within the wider dark, for they do not drift alone. Our own galaxy and Andromeda belong together to a small gathering of galaxies, a little family bound loosely by that same gentle pull, all of them traveling the universe as one company. Astronomers call it the local group, a plain and homely name for our own small neighborhood in the vastness, the handful of islands nearest to home. Within that gathering, our galaxy and Andromeda are the two great ones, the pair of large, bright spirals about which everything else is arranged. They are the anchors of the little family, the two grand islands, and all the smaller galaxies drift about them, held in their soft company. Between the two of them, they hold nearly all the light and nearly all the weight of the whole group, two wheels of stars leaning slowly toward one another across the dark, with a scattered court of lesser islands drifting all around. There is a third spiral in the group as well, smaller and fainter than the other two, a gentle little wheel of stars keeping its own place in the gathering. It is a soft galaxy, dimmer and more delicate, and it lies a little beyond Andromeda in the same quarter of the sky. Under a truly dark sky, far from every light, a keen and patient eye can just catch it too, an even fainter smudge than Andromeda, the second of the far galaxies that the unaided eye can reach. Two islands then, both visible on the same clear night to anyone who knows the dark well enough to find them. Beyond those three spirals, the rest of the family is made of small things. Dozens of little dwarf galaxies drift through the group, faint gatherings of stars far too dim for the eye, some circling close about the great spirals as companions, others wandering the wider spaces of the group on their own slow paths. Small and quiet and numerous, they fill out the family, each one an island in miniature, each one turning gently through the same shared patch of dark that we in Andromeda call home. And the whole gathering, all of it together, the great spirals and the little dwarfs alike, drifts as one bound company through the wider universe. The local group holds itself together against the slow spreading of space, a single small family moving through the immense dark, keeping its own quiet arrangement across the ages. This is our address in the vastness, if you like, the little cluster of islands to which we belong. And it is a gentle thing to know that our galaxy has never been alone out here, but has always traveled the dark in the near company of a few faithful neighbors, Andromeda foremost among them. Step back once more, as far as we will go tonight, and let the whole of it open out around you, softly, for there is a deep peace in seeing how our small family fits into the greater dark. Our local group is itself only one small gathering among countless others. Out beyond it, in every direction, lie more groups and greater clusters of galaxies, some holding hundreds or thousands of islands each, strung together across distances that make even our millions of light years seem a modest step. And when you draw far enough back to take in the very largest view we have, a wondrous shape appears in the arrangement of it all. The galaxies are not sprinkled evenly through the dark. They gather, instead, along great soft threads and filaments, long luminous strands strung across the universe, with vast quiet empty spaces between them where almost nothing lies at all. Cluster joins to cluster along these faint bright strands, and the whole grand pattern, seen from far enough away, looks for all the world like a great gentle web or the soft branching of some slow silver tree spread across the deep. Our own local group sits along one of those faint threads, a small knot of light on one strand of the great web, and Andromeda sits there beside us, our nearest companion on our little length of the pattern. Everything we have wondered at tonight, the trillion suns, the invisible halos, the slow meeting to come, all of it is happening on one small node of one faint filament, in one quiet corner of a web so large that the light we can gather cannot cross even a part of it, and still the whole immense lattice is calm. Nothing about it hurries. It simply hangs there, glowing softly, turning through unimaginable time. Let the size of all that be a comfort rather than a weight. Exactly as the size of Andromeda was, there is nothing in this great web that presses upon you, nothing vast enough to trouble the calm of the night. It is only room, endless gentle room, filaments of soft light strung across oceans of quiet dark, patient beyond all measure, asking nothing of anyone. You are held somewhere within it, on one small strand, in the near company of a galaxy drifting slowly toward your own, and all of it, from the little smudge overhead to the farthest thread of the web, is turning peacefully through the deep with all the time in the universe. So we have drifted as far out as we will go, all the way to the great soft web of everything, and found it patient and spacious and calm at every scale, from the trillion suns of Andromeda to the endless quiet strands of galaxies beyond. Before we turn and drift a long way home, though, let us draw close to our neighbor one last time and rest our eyes on a few quiet wonders still hidden within the little wheel itself, wonders too faint to reach the eye from here, yet lovely to know are there. Come in close, then, toward the bright core of the galaxy, the dense gathered radiance we glimpse from home as the little grey oval. Here, at the very center of the great wheel, the stars crowd together more thickly than anywhere else, packed so near to one another that from a world circling one of them, the night sky would blaze with the light of countless close neighbors. There would be no true darkness there, only a soft perpetual glow, thousands upon thousands of bright stars scattered thick across the heavens, near enough to cast gentle shadows. Imagine softly standing beneath such a sky, where we look up and find a scattering of separate stars on a field of deep black. A watcher near the heart of Andromeda would find the black nearly filled with light, star crowded upon star, the whole dome shimmering with the nearness of so many suns. It would be beautiful beyond anything our own sparse sky can offer, and yet gentle too, a warm and living brightness rather than a harsh one, the soft company of a great multitude of neighbors, all shining quietly together. At the deepest center of that crowded heart, hidden among the thickest press of stars, there is thought to lie a single great concentration of weight, a place where matter has gathered so densely that its pull is enormous, even by the measures of a galaxy. The innermost stars of Andromeda swirl around that hidden center in tight, swift orbits, circling it the way the planets circle our own sun, held in its deep and patient grip. We cannot see the thing itself, only the slow, graceful wheeling of the stars about it, tracing out the shape of a great, unseen anchor at the galaxy's core. There is nothing troubling in this deep center, nothing to unsettle the calm of the night. It is only the quiet hub around which the whole vast wheel is arranged, the still point at the heart of all that turning, holding the innermost stars in their graceful rounds, as it has for ages beyond counting. Every great galaxy is thought to hold such a center, our own among them, a deep anchor at the core, about which the long, slow wheeling of the stars is gently organized. It is simply how these great islands are built, around a quiet center, turning. So the bright heart we see as a faint smudge is, up close, a crowded city of light, thousands of suns to a single patch of sky, all of them wheeling in their slow and graceful way about a deep, quiet center. Let that be one more soft wonder to carry, that the little gray oval overhead is, at its core, the brightest and most crowded place we have spoken of all night. A great gathering of near neighbors glowing together in the dark, and still it reaches us only as a whisper, gentled entirely by the vast distance between. Since the galaxy is there for anyone to see, let us rest a while on how you might find it yourself, some clear autumn night, should you ever wish to. There is a gentle pleasure in knowing the way to it, in being able to step outside on a dark evening and lift your eyes to the exact soft patch of sky where our nearest neighbor quietly waits. The path to it is not hard to learn, and once learned it stays with you, a small key to a very large door. Look first for a shape that many people already know, a bright zigzag of stars high in the autumn and winter sky, 5 stars bent into the rough form of the letter W, or an M when it rides low. It is one of the easiest patterns to find, plain and clear even under less than perfect skies, and it has guided sky watchers for as long as anyone has looked up. Once you have found that crooked line of 5, you have found your signpost, for it points the quiet way toward the galaxy next door. From that bright zigzag, let your eye drift a little way across the sky toward the neighboring stars, tracing gently from the signpost into the fainter figure beside it. There, in that dimmer stretch of the dark, running along a soft line of quiet stars, you will come upon the faint grey oval we have followed all night. It sits patiently among those stars, a little smudge softer and larger than any true star near it, and once your eye settles upon it, you will wonder how you ever passed it by. Remember the old skill of looking a little to the side, for it will serve you well here. If you stare straight at the smudge, it may seem to fade and slip away. But let your gaze rest just beside it, and it will quietly brighten and steady at the edge of your sight. Give your eyes time too, a good long while in the dark with no bright light to spoil them. And the little oval will only grow clearer and softer and more sure the longer you are patient with it. The darker your sky and the more your eyes have settled, the more of that faint galaxy you will gather. That figure of stars, it lies within carries an old and gentle name, drawn from a story told long ago, of a princess set among the constellations to shine in the northern sky. You need not hold the tale, only know that when people long ago mapped that quarter of the heavens and gave it her name, they had no idea that a whole other galaxy lay nestled quietly among her stars. They named the figure and the galaxy hid within it, unknown for ages more. Now you know it is there, and on the next clear dark night, you will know just where to look. Before we begin the long drift home, here is one last quiet wonder hidden about the great wheel. Scattered through the space around Andromeda, drifting in wide slow orbits far above and below its bright disk, are hundreds of small tight gatherings of stars, each one a dense and ancient ball of suns, glowing softly on its own in the dark. Astronomers call them globular clusters, and Andromeda keeps a great many of them, a whole scattered host of these little star cities, wheeling patiently about the galaxy. Picture a single one of them up close. A globular cluster is a great crowd of stars, hundreds of thousands of them, sometimes far more, all drawn together by their own soft pull into a nearly perfect sphere, dense at the center and thinning gently toward the edges. They are among the oldest things a galaxy holds. These clusters, gatherings of ancient suns that formed long ago and have circled quietly ever since, keeping their tight round shape through age upon age, changing hardly at all across spans of time we can barely hold. These little star cities do not lie down in the flat disk with the spiral arms. They drift instead through the great halo around the galaxy, out in the wider sphere of space above and below the wheel, tracing long, unhurried orbits that carry them far out into the dark and slowly back again. Each keeps its own patient path, rising away from the bright disk and falling gently toward it over spans of many millions of years, a slow, soft rain of ancient star clusters wheeling forever around the galaxy's heart. Andromeda holds more of these clusters than our own galaxy does, many hundreds of them in all, a richer host of ancient star cities than the Milky Way can claim. Each one is a small world of its own, a dense and glowing sphere of old suns, and together they wrap the great galaxy in a faint scattered shell of quiet light, far too dim for the eye to catch from home. Yet they're all the same, circling faithfully, as they have since long before the earth was made. So, the little grey oval seen truly is wrapped in wonders at every scale. A crowded bright heart with a deep quiet centre, 220,000 light years of winding arms and dark dust lanes. A court of small companion galaxies and a scattered host of ancient star cities, and a vast invisible halo reaching most of the way to our own. All of it gathered into one faint whisper of light above your roof. And now, having drawn as close as we will, let us turn at last, gently, and begin the long, soft drift back home. Here is a soft thought to rest with before we turn homeward, one that quietly widens the wonder of it all. We have spoken of Andromeda's trillion suns as points of light, as stars gathered into a great wheel. But our own sun is a star, and around it turns a whole family of worlds, the planets and their moons, the rings and the belts of ice, the small blue home where you are resting now. And our sun is not unusual in that. Most stars, as far as we can tell, keep families of their own, worlds circling them quietly in the dark, so common that they are very nearly the rule. So let your mind open gently to what that means for the great wheel of Andromeda. A trillion suns, and around them worlds beyond all counting, more planets than there are grains of sand on every shore of the earth combined. Rocky worlds and giant ones, worlds wrapped in cloud and worlds crusted in ice, worlds with rings and worlds with many moons, and here and there, surely quiet worlds with seas, turning slowly in the light of their own suns. All of that is folded into the faint grey smudge overhead. A whole galaxy not only of stars but of worlds, uncounted and unseen. We will never visit a single one of them, and that is a gentle truth rather than a sad one. They lie 2.5 million light years away, so far that the light of any one of those worlds is far too faint to ever reach us on its own. We know they are there only by knowing how stars and their families work, not by seeing them. And yet they are there all the same, turning through their own days and nights, keeping their own slow orbits. Whether or not any eye from our galaxy ever finds them, there is a quiet marvel in that, in a whole galaxy of worlds unfolding softly in the dark, needing nothing from us at all. Picture just one of them, softly, some quiet world far out in an arm of Andromeda. It circles its own star and has its own mornings and its own long evenings, its own slow weather moving across it, perhaps its own still seas catching the light. And when the night comes to that far world and its sky grows dark, there might be, high overhead, a faint little smudge of light, a soft grey oval, no wider than a hand held up against its stars. That smudge would be our galaxy, the Milky Way, seen from there, exactly as Andromeda is seen from here, a distant island of a few 100 billion suns, faint and patient and far. Let that mirror rest gently in your mind, for there is a deep companionship in it. As you lie here tonight, looking up in your thoughts at the faint oval of Andromeda, it may be that the reverse is also true somewhere out there, that our own galaxy hangs as a soft smudge in some far Andromedan sky, patient and unremarked, the most distant thing that some other eye could ever reach. Two galaxies, each a faint light in the other's night, drifting slowly toward one another across the dark, each holding worlds beyond counting, each keeping the other quiet company across the vast and gentle distance. You need not hold any of those worlds, or wonder too hard about them, or reach toward them in any way. Let them simply be there, a soft, uncountable multitude, turning quietly in the light of a trillion distant suns, each one going gently about its own long, slow existence, asking nothing of you. There is room in the wonder of Andromeda, not only for its stars but for all its hidden worlds, and room in the calm of this night to let them all drift on without you, unseen and untroubled, while you sink a little deeper toward your own good rest. Now the drift reverses softly, and we begin the long, slow journey back toward home, letting all that vastness fold gently closed behind us as we go. There is no hurry in the return, no more than there was in the going out. We will simply retrace the great scales in reverse, each one growing smaller and nearer and more familiar, until we come to rest once more beneath the little grey smudge above your own roof. Let the coming home be even gentler than the going out, a slow settling inward, a drawing in of all that we have seen. First, the great web of everything eases away behind us, its faint bright filaments and its vast dark voids folding softly back into the distance until they are gone from mind. We fall inward, past the far clusters of galaxies, past the countless island groups strung along their quiet strands, back toward our own small corner of the pattern. All that immensity grows quiet and remote, a thing we have seen and need not hold, sinking gently away into the dark from which it came. The universe closes softly around us as we come home. Then our own small family gathers around us once more, the local group, our little company of islands drifting together through the dark. The faint dwarf galaxies come near again, and the small delicate third spiral, and the two great wheels at the heart of it all, our own galaxy and Andromeda, leaning slowly toward one another across the gulf. We are back among our neighbors now, back in the familiar quiet of our own small gathering, and the vast lonely reaches beyond it are behind us, folded away, no longer ours to cross tonight. And now Andromeda itself grows near a final time, its great wheel filling the dark before us, the bright crowded heart, the winding arms, the dark curving lanes of dust, the scattered host of ancient star cities, wheeling about it in the halo. We rest our eyes upon it once more, the whole vast island of 1 trillion suns, turning slowly and silently, as it has through all the ages we have spoken of tonight. Then, gently, we let it too begin to shrink, drawing back from it across the dark, letting the great wheels soften and dim and pull away. Smaller it grows, and softer, the winding arms blurring back together, the dark lanes fading, the crowded heart drawing in until the whole galaxy is once again only a small pale oval floating in the dark ahead of us. The trillion suns fold back into a single soft whisper of light. All that we drew close enough to see, the clusters and the companions and the deep quiet center, sinks gently back below the reach of the eye, hidden once more inside the little grey smudge, exactly as it has always been hidden, waiting patiently there for anyone who thinks to look. So we come to rest again where we began, beneath the faint grey oval high overhead, the most distant thing your unaided eyes can reach. But it is not quite the same smudge it was when the night began, for now you know what hides inside it, and knowing changes how it feels to look. Where once there was only a soft patch of light with no name, there is now a whole galaxy, near and vast and quietly wonderful, waiting there above your roof. Hold it all gently in mind, everything the little smudge contains, not to remember it, but simply to feel the weight of what that faint light truly is. 1 trillion suns, gathered into a great slow wheel, 220,000 light-years across. Within it, a bright crowded heart, wound through with dark rivers of dust, ringed by young blue arms and ancient star cities. Around it, a court of small companion galaxies, drifting faithfully alongside, and a vast invisible halo reaching out over 1 million light-years. Most of the way to our own, its faint edge already brushing gently against ours in the dark between. Hold, too, how far its light has come to reach you. 2.5 million years of patient travel across the empty dark, setting out long before there were cities or words or any of the long human story, crossing all that time and distance only to end its journey softly in the quiet of your own eye tonight. The oldest light your eyes can gather, arriving without wait, without demand, laying 2.5 million years of the past gently before you on a single clear night, and asking nothing at all in return. And hold the gentlest truth of all, the one to carry down into sleep. That far galaxy is not a stranger, cut off across an empty void. It is our nearest great neighbor, drifting slowly toward us through the ages, its invisible edge already mingling with our own, bound to us in the same small family of islands, destined in the deep fullness of time to weave together with our galaxy into a single quiet home. The little smudge overhead is a neighbor reaching gently toward us across the dark, and we are reaching just as gently back. So the whole long journey of the night comes to rest inside that one soft patch of light. 6 full moons of sky, 1 trillion suns, an invisible halo, a slow meeting yet to come. All of it folded into a faint grey oval you could cover with a thumb held up against the stars. There is no need to hold any of it. Let it simply be true, quietly, above you in the dark. The galaxy next door is there, and now you know it, and that knowing can rest easy at the far edge of your thoughts, as everything else begins, gently, to let go. There is a quiet comfort to carry from all of this. If you would like it, a soft companionship folded into the dark above you. For most of human memory, people looked up at that little smudge and felt only a small mystery, a faint patch of unknown light. Now we know it for what it is, and the knowing brings a kind of company. We are not a lone island adrift in an empty void. Instead, we have a neighbor, near and vast and faithful, drifting the dark alongside us, and it has been there all along. Think of the 2 galaxies as 2 great houses set far apart on a dark and quiet plain, each with its lights burning softly within, each aware, in the slow way of such things, of the other's steady glow across the distance. The plain between them looks empty from afar, and yet their gardens have already grown out to meet in the middle, their faint invisible edges mingling gently in the dark. Neither house is alone. Each keeps the other faithful company across the quiet, 2 soft lights in a vast night, drifting slowly, patiently toward one another. And there is company in it for you, tonight, lying wherever you lie. The same slow pull that draws Andromeda toward our galaxy is the very pull that holds you gently to the earth. This moment that steadies you against the ground and lets you rest without effort or falling. It reaches from the smallest resting body to the greatest wheeling galaxies. The same soft holding, the same patient gathering in. You are held by the very thing that holds the galaxies together, cradled in the same quiet law that binds the 2 great islands slowly into one. So there is nothing lonely in the vastness we have crossed tonight, and nothing cold in all that distance. The dark is not empty, it is full of islands, strung along their faint bright threads, drifting in small families, reaching gently toward their neighbors across the quiet. And you belong to all of it, held on your own small strand of the great web, in the near company of a galaxy, easing slowly toward your own. Let that be a warm thing to rest against as the night deepens, that even at the very largest scale there is company and holding, and the soft nearness of a faithful neighbor in the dark. but let the reaching stop now. You have followed the light of the galaxy next door, all the way out to the edge of everything, and gently back again. And there is nothing left to seek tonight, and nothing more you need to understand. The neighbor is there, faithful and near, and it will keep its slow drift toward us whether or not you stay awake to watch. So you may set the wandering down now, softly, and simply rest in the company of the dark, held and unhurried, with all the far islands keeping their quiet watch above you. Now let everything begin to slow. The long drift of the night, out to the edge of the great web and gently home again, is easing now to a stop, the way a boat slows as it glides at last into still and sheltered water. There is nowhere further to go tonight, and nothing further to see, and the slowing itself is a soft and welcome thing. Feel how the motion quiets, how the reaching settles, how the whole journey comes softly to rest beneath the faint light overhead. Let your breathing slow along with it, if it has not already, finding its own unhurried level without any effort from you. Breathe in, gently, the way the galaxies drift, slow and smooth and patient, and let it go again, softly, unforced, sinking a little deeper with the letting go. There is a rhythm to the whole vast quiet universe, unbelievably slow. The wheeling of galaxies over hundreds of millions of years, the patient fall of neighbor toward neighbor across the ages, and you can let your own slow breath fall into step with it now and drift. Notice how the far reaches of the night have grown dim and quiet around you. The great web has faded into the distance, the clusters and the filaments folded softly away. Those far galaxies keep their places out in the dark, but they ask nothing of you now, and there is no need to hold a single one of them in mind. All that vastness has drawn back to a gentle hush, a soft and distant, glowing at the far edge of everything, patient and calm, while nearer to you the dark grows warm and close, and still there is nothing left tonight that needs your watching. The galaxy overhead will go on drifting slowly toward us whether or not you follow it any further. Those far islands will keep their long, slow orbits. The ancient star cities will wheel about their galaxies. The light will go on crossing the dark, all of it unfolding gently through the deep, needing no witness, asking for no attention, carrying on in perfect peace whether anyone watches or not. You may let it all go on without you now and lose nothing at all by resting. So let the watching soften. Let your gaze grow loose and unfocused, the way it does at the edge of sleep, the faint stars blurring gently into one another, the little grey oval melting softly into the dark around it. You have seen all there is to see tonight, and there is nothing more you must look at, nothing more you must take in. The looking can rest now, and the wondering can rest, and you can let your eyes close whenever they wish, and drift on into the quiet with the whole calm universe turning slowly all around you. Let us set the whole long journey down, now gently, the way you might lay a heavy pack off your shoulders at the end of a long and happy walk. All the great distances we crossed tonight, you may set them down. The 2.5 million light years to Andromeda, the 220,000 across its wheel, the million and more of its invisible halo, all those vast and patient measures, none of them need to be carried any further. Lay them down softly in the dark, and let your shoulders come loose, and let the weight of all that far distance simply rest. You do not have to remember any of it, not a single number, not a single name, not one fact from the whole of the night. The measuring was only ever a soft way of feeling how far the light had come, a quiet rhythm underneath the drifting. And now that the drifting is done, the numbers may dissolve and be gone. Let them pass through you and away, like the far stars slipping by, leaving behind only the calm they carried, only the ease, only the deep soft quiet of having wandered very far and come safely home. There is nothing to reach for now, and nothing to solve, and no destination left to arrive at. The whole journey is behind you, folded, gently closed, and the faint light overhead is the same faithful smudge it has always been. Asking nothing, holding steady, keeping its quiet place in the dark. You have carried yourself all the way out to the galaxy next door, and all the way back again, and there is nowhere else you need to go tonight. Nothing else you need to do, only this soft settling deeper into rest. Feel how far away the day has drifted, how small and distant all its cares have become. The way the whole bright world shrank to a faint point behind us as we traveled out into the dark. Whatever the day held, whatever was left undone, it has grown as small and quiet now as a single far star among the many, and it can keep until morning without you. There is nothing from the waking world that reaches this far into the calm. Nothing that can follow you out here into the soft, deep quiet where you are drifting. Now let the last of the wondering fade, then, and let the words begin to soften too. You do not need to follow them any further. Whatever is left to say can go on quietly somewhere in the dark, a low murmur beneath the stars, while you slip gently down past it into sleep. The voice will keep its watch a little longer, soft and slow and unhurried, so that you need not hold up your end of anything at all. Just let it carry the last of the thinking, and let yourself grow heavy and warm and still. High above you, whether or not your eyes are open to see it, that faint grey oval is still there, keeping its quiet place in the dark. It does not need your watching to go on shining, for it has hung in that same soft patch of sky through every night of your life, and every night before you were here, faithful and unchanging, a little pool of ancient light that asks for nothing and simply stays. There is a deep comfort in that faithfulness, in a light so old and so steady that nothing you could ever do or fail to do would change it in the slightest. It was there last night. Tomorrow it will be there still, and it is there now, softly, while you drift towards sleep. Think how patient that light has learned to be. It set out across the dark 2.5 million years ago, and it has been arriving quietly every single night since anyone first looked up, waiting all that while for us to understand what it was. Never once did it hurry us. Through all the long ages when people took it for a little cloud, it went on arriving just the same, gentle and unbothered, in no rush at all to be known. And now that we do know it, it has not changed its manner in the slightest. It still arrives softly, still asks nothing, still lays its ancient light before us with the same quiet patience it always had. Let that patience be a model for the quiet you are settling into now. There is no hurry anywhere in the whole vast sky. The galaxies drift slowly. The light crosses the dark at its own unrushed pace. The neighbor eases toward us over billions of years, and none of it strains or struggles or reaches to be anywhere other than where it is. Everything out there simply is, patiently, in its own good time, and there is a great permission in that. If you would like to take it, you do not have to hurry towards sleep, or reach for it, or work at it at all. Instead, you can simply rest, as the light rests, as the galaxies drift, and let sleep arrive in its own soft time. And should you wake sometime in the night, or find yourself still gently awake now, you might take a small comfort in knowing exactly where that neighbor hangs, up there beyond the roof, beyond the clouds, beyond the glow of any nearby light. It is keeping its watch over the sleeping world, all through the dark hours, drifting slowly closer by the smallest measure, with every one of them faithful company for anyone lying awake beneath it. You are not alone under the night. The galaxy next door is there, steady and near, keeping the long quiet watch alongside you until morning. So let the little light keep its watch, and let yourself be watched over. There is nothing you need to guard tonight, nothing you must stay awake to tend. The great faithful neighbor overhead has kept its place for ages beyond counting, and it will keep it still while you sleep, drifting its slow patient drift toward us as it always has. You can hand the long watch over to it entirely now and let your own watching end and sink down softly into the rest it has been holding open for you all along. Somewhere ahead of you, on some clear night still to come, there will be a chance to see all of this for yourself. Perhaps on an autumn evening away from the city, out where the sky goes truly dark, you will remember the little smudge and think to look for it. You will find the bright crooked zigzag of stars first, high overhead, and let your eye drift gently across to the fainter figure beside it. And there, softly among those quiet stars, the little grey oval will be waiting, exactly where it has always been, and when you find it, you will know. Picture that quiet moment gently, as something to look forward to. You will stand beneath the dark, and let your eyes settle into it, and let the faint oval brighten slowly at the corner of your sight, the way faint things do. And this time you will not see merely a little smudge. You will see a trillion suns, a great wheel, 220,000 light years across, wrapped in its invisible halo, drifting slowly toward you across the dark. And you will be looking 2.5 million years into the past, gathering the oldest light your eyes can reach, and holding, in one soft glance, the whole vast neighbor we have wandered through tonight. There is no need to do anything with that sight when it comes, and nothing you must feel. You might simply stand there a while, in the dark and the quiet, and let the faint light rest on your eyes, and know it for what it is. That alone is enough. To stand beneath the open night and find, with your own unaided eyes, a whole other galaxy hanging softly overhead is one of the gentlest wonders this world offers, freely, to anyone willing to seek the dark and be patient. It has been waiting there your whole life, and it will wait a little longer until you are ready to go and find it. But that is a gift for another night, a clear one, when you are rested and awake and free to stand beneath the stars. Tonight, there is nothing you need to go outside for, nothing you need to find, nothing you need to see with your own eyes at all. By now you have already made the whole journey out to the galaxy and back from the warmth of wherever you lie, and the only thing left to do is rest. Let the promise of that future clear night be a soft and happy thing, waiting quietly for you, and then let even it drift away and stay here, warm and still in the dark. For now, you are exactly where you need to be, and it is far more comfortable than any dark hillside under the open sky. You are warm and held and carried, with the whole vast quiet universe turning slowly all around you and asking nothing at all. The galaxy next door will keep. That clear night will come. And all of it can wait patiently on the far side of a good night's sleep while you let go, at last, of the waking day and drift down softly into the rest that has been waiting for you all along. Everything is very quiet now. The long drift is done, and the great distances are set down, and the numbers have dissolved away. And there is nothing left in all the wide night that asks anything of you. Feel how still it has become, stiller than any silence you have ever stood inside. The deep hush of the far places settling gently over you, like a heavy blanket drawn up in the cold. No wind moves out there between the galaxies, nor has any sound ever crossed that dark. The great wheels turn without a whisper, and the ancient light drifts on without a sound, and the only motion anywhere is slow and smooth and endless, far away and softening even as you rest. Let that great silence be a comfort and not a loneliness. It is the same quiet that has held the galaxies gently through all their slow drifting, the same peace that fills the vast dark spaces between the far islands. And there is room enough in it to hold you and every care you carried into the night, and still stretch on, empty and calm, for 1,000,000 light years more. You are a small warm point of rest inside that enormous quiet, held softly, going nowhere you do not wish to go, safe in the deep the way a single lit window is safe within a wide and peaceful night. Your breathing has slowed all on its own now, unhurried, and even rising and falling at the soft pace of drifting things. There is nothing left to think about, and nothing left to hold, and nothing left to do but let each slow breath carry you a little deeper into the quiet. Feel your body grow heavy and warm and loose, sinking gently into whatever holds it. The long muscles letting go one by one, the last small tightness easing away into the dark. The waking day is far behind you, small and distant as a single far star, and it cannot reach you here. Let the drift slow until it is barely moving, and then slower still until it is not moving at all. And let yourself settle here in the long dark, weightless and unhurried and perfectly at ease. There is nowhere left to be, and nothing left to solve, and no edge anywhere left to cross. You have come all the way out to the galaxy next door and gently home again. And you may stay here now, resting in the soft, deep quiet, for as long as you like, held on every side by the calm of the whole slow-turning sky. There is no more journey now, only this. No galaxy left to reach, no distance left to cross, no wonder left to hold, only the soft dark and your own slow breathing and the faint light keeping its quiet watch far overhead. Let the words fade too if they wish to. You do not need to follow them any further. Whatever is left to say can go on somewhere far off and gentle, a low murmur beneath the stars, while you slip down past it softly into sleep. So we come, at the very last, back to where we began, beneath that single faint point of pale light high overhead, the galaxy next door, wider than 6 full moons and older than every story, keeping its faithful place in the dark above your roof. It is the same soft smudge it was when the night began, and yet it is not a stranger to you anymore. A neighbor now, near and vast and known, it drifts slowly toward us through the ages, keeping the long quiet watch over the sleeping world and over you tonight. There is nothing more now to reach for and nothing more to know. The galaxy will go on turning, the light will go on arriving, the neighbor will go on drawing gently closer. All of it unfolding softly through the deep, whether or not you stay awake to see. You have carried yourself all the way to another galaxy and safely home again from the warmth of where you lie. And there is nothing left of the journey but to rest. So let the last of it go, softly. The last thought, the last wonder, the last small hold you have kept upon the waking day, and let the dark carry it gently away. Let the stars grow still and cold and few. Allow your breathing to slow until it is barely more than a whisper, and let your body sink the rest of the way down into warmth and stillness, and let the soft dark fold gently closed around you on every side. Here, held beneath the faithful light of the galaxy next door, there is nowhere you need to be, and nothing you need to carry, and no edge left anywhere to cross. There is only this quiet wide enough to hold you for as long as you need, and the slow calm turning of the whole vast sky. If this quiet has helped carry you towards sleep tonight, it will be here again, softly, whenever you need another gentle journey out among the stars. But that is for another night. For now, there is nothing left to do at all, and nowhere left to go, only the soft dark, and your slow breath moving through it, and the faint faithful light keeping its watch far overhead while you drift down, at last, into rest. Rest now. Let the last light fade, and the last sound soften, and the faint galaxy overhead keep its quiet watch while you sleep. There is nothing left to do now, nothing at all but to let go and drift and rest. Sleep well and good night.